All right, so just want to welcome everyone today to today's Adobe Acrobat session. We've been working with Tim from Adobe and Brian as well throughout the year. We've been getting such amazing feedback and we hope you've been enjoying these sessions. Just to let you know, we will be repeating next year as well. So stay tuned, we'll be advertising those sessions in the near future. So on to you, Tim. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cindy. It's always a pleasure to work with the South Australian Department for Education. Brian and I are both from Melbourne, so we're extra excited at the moment because tonight at midnight, we come out of curfew. We come out of lockdown. We go into Freedom Day tomorrow, which is rather exciting, although a bit depressing when we found out that there were 2,232 infections in the last 24 hours. From 80,000 tests, and there are 12 deaths in the last 24 hours, total of 187 deaths in Victoria since the Delta outbreak. So we're a bit apprehensive but excited at the same time, and we're just glad that South Australia has been able to maintain a sense of normalcy during this time, and it's been lovely to be able to work with you, at least in this capacity. So my name is Dr. Tim Kitchen. I'm Adobe's Senior Education Specialist for the Asia Pacific region. I've got a few little housekeeping things to go through before I hand it over to Brian, who's been with Adobe since 1842. Is that right, Brian? It's been a long time. I'll do a proper introduction to Brian a little bit later. He's probably the longest serving Adobe member in this part of the world, and it's always a pleasure to have Brian present, and you'll enjoy working with him soon with Adobe Acrobat. I'm just going to quickly share my screen, and I've got a brand new announcement for you. Cindy did mention that we're doing some specific professional learning for South Australia like this one. We're continuing that next year. However, we've just announced a whole set of what's called Adobe Teach Meets. They're going to be starting on the 10th of November, and they're going to be running right through till the end of next year. And the idea of a Teach Meet, it's sort of like a traditional Teach Meet, but this is an online version and an Adobe version of a Teach Meet, where I will have 5 Adobe education leaders who will be doing a workshop on a whole range of Adobe applications on 2 consecutive afternoons. And it's going to happen twice a term right through from November through till November, probably even December next year. In fact, just to explain that a little bit further, I'm going to quickly jump into the Teach Meets website, which is here, and this will explain it in a little bit more graphical terms. So that link that Cindy has now put into the chat will take you to this Teach Meets site. Starting in November, Teach Meets program, if you click on the program link, you can see all the different topics. So for instance, on the 10th of November, we're going to be doing Spark Post for those who are new to Adobe, those who are not really experienced or haven't really heard much about Adobe. So we'll be catering for newies, but also catering for those who are experienced users with Adobe, with topics like Photoshop, with topics like Acrobat, and going into a bit of depth. So there'll be new options and experienced options at every Teach Meet. The very next day, so if you can't make it on the Wednesday, you might be able to make it on the Thursday, a new list of topics. You could go both if you wanted to. Again, a new set of Adobe education leaders, plus some of our own team, like I'll be presenting that session, and I'll be roping in Brian for a couple during the year. Brian doesn't know yet which ones exactly I'm roping him in for, but our colleague Steve Nichols will be involved as well. And as you can see, we've got the program planned out for the rest of the year. Now, if you don't know anything about Audition, book in for that session, and then when you get to that session, you'll hear from Brett Kent talking about what he's going to present, but you might think, oh no, I might just go to the Acrobat session with Steve Nichols. You can decide on the day which session you want to go to. It's very flexible, it's totally free, and it's all online through Microsoft Teams, which is the environment we're in here. We'll be going into breakout rooms through Microsoft Teams for these sessions. It's going to be fantastic. It's hands-on, it's a workshop, it's not a demo, and it's not recorded. You have to actually be there. So book in, get involved, and look at all the options that we have. And these are our wonderful presenters. Brian, did you make it to this photo? I'm not sure if you're on there. You should be. We should have a big picture of Brian right in the middle there. But anyway, there's a bunch of others who are presenters, and they're so passionate about the use of Adobe tools. So that is a brand new program. We've just launched it literally last week. And the other thing I want to mention that we've been going now for about 18 months is the Adobe Creative Educator program. And this is a program, again, not for experts. This is for any teacher who's just interested in knowing a little bit more about creativity and why creativity is important in education. So the focus is not on Adobe for this program, it's on creativity. We had 15 professors, associate professors, PhDs help us put this course together, and it's just brilliant. It's one of my favorite courses to run. You can do it totally on your own. You can do it on demand without connecting with anyone live, and that's fine. Or, and if we jump into the next side here, you can do a course with me called the Adobe Creative Educator course, and I've got the dates wrong there. But if you go to that link, bit.ly/webinars/ACE, which Cindy is putting in the chat now, you will be able to see when the next session is. It's around about once a month, and I guide you through the process of getting your Adobe Creative Educator Level 1 badge. It's an official Credly badge that's recognised internationally. So it's micro-credentialing, and it's fantastic. It's a great program. Last thing from me, Adobe MAX is next week. It is the biggest and best creativity conference in the world. Last year we had over 5 million. That's right. 5 million people involved in Adobe MAX last year. This year we've got a special section, a special track at Adobe MAX that's just for educators. So if you go to max.adobe.com/sessions/educators, you can find out more about that. And it's going to be brilliant because for the first time ever, after my 8 years at Adobe, I'm one of the presenters. So I'm really looking forward to it. And Brian, you've been at Adobe MAX. You've been at the Real MAX conference in Los Angeles before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, it was great, yes.
And I've been to one Adobe MAX conference, and that's usually 15,000 creatives all in one space. But now, being virtual and free, we'll have another 5 million, if not more. So get involved, and it's going to be fantastic. I'm going to stop sharing. Brain Chau, he started at Adobe before it was Adobe. Well, he started at Macromedia, for those who remember when Adobe took over Macromedia. And he's been with Adobe ever since, and he's one of our greatest senior solution consultants, and this is all about Acrobat. Brian, over to you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you for the warm introduction. I look forward to look at this teacher needs. I haven't heard of this until today, so I'm quite excited about the initiative that you're doing. And so what we are going to do today is on Acrobat. And very great to get the response by the chat room about what you guys are looking at. Can you hear me okay? But just want to, I understand many of you, a few of you could say something like medium, knowing a little bit of Acrobat. Some said newish, etc., etc. So that actually helps a lot when it comes to what I need to, how I pitch it, right? Now, I also want to use the chat port, right? The chat window. Can you tell me, right, in the chat port, right, what do you want to learn from this session in Acrobat, right? So Acrobat, right, while you are thinking, right, let me just put it this way, right? Acrobat is about creating PDF document, working on PDF document. Maybe sometimes you'll use it to edit a PDF document. Sometimes you'll use it to create forms. Sometimes people try to make a PDF accessible or whatnot, right? Or they use PDF to collaborate as a way to collaborate. What do you want to learn out of this section today? Yeah, so please use the chat port, and I will have a look. So Lydia has said something like create a fillable PDF. Same. Create new PDF, editing existing one. Seriously, you know, I'm actually writing it down, so I'm not just asking you guys just for the sake of asking. So, and then create and manipulate. and how to send a document to get signature from other people, how to create fields in form fields, better understanding of what can be done within the program more than just the basic things. And not with the wizard. How to manipulate existing. Manipulating can also be, say, editing, actually. Right? So how to edit, right? Well, you know what? That's good. Of course, that's by no means the only thing that can be done in Acrobat, right? But these are good to know that these are the sort of things that you come to this session that you want to learn, and this is what we are going to do to make sure that we cover all these bits there, right? Okay, now last call. Any other thing that we missed here? Better understanding of what can be done more than just the basic things. How to create fillable form fields, send the document out for signature, creating. Yeah, indeed, we'll start with forms. Then we'll actually start with forms. But then we'll work the way back on editing a PDF. How to create form fields, how to send document. Yeah, I think I got this one, right? So how to manipulate, and also talk how to manipulate existing. All right, I think what I might do is I might share the screen, right? So let me just go ahead and share the screen. And hopefully you can see my computer screen. Right. And that's wonderful. Look, because when I'm sharing the screen, I can't read the chat port, right? So if you've got questions there, please maybe, I don't know, unmute your phone. Sorry, unmute your mic if you can, interrupt me, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to read the chat port from now on until I stop the screen sharing, so that you know, right? And that I'm not ignoring you if you put in a chat message there that you're not getting a response from me. It's just that I'm not seeing the chat port, right? So, okay, all right, where am I here? I'm just, this is a web page kind of like looking at, let me just see if I could move this. Oh, that's good. Is move it away. So that's good, right? Now, what are we looking at here? I'm looking at a website, Document Cloud, adobe.com, Document Cloud, right? So, and this is, if you really want to find out everything about Acrobat, of course, our website's got tons of information there, right? Now, before we look into the forms, create the fillable forms there, I just want to kind of like give kind of like a quick understanding about what typically can be done with Acrobat, right? And so that we at least know that there are sort of things that people tend to use Acrobat for. So this is the sort of things. So Acrobat, the way we look at Acrobat is that you think about it as working with a PDF document. And when we say working with a PDF document, it could be create a PDF document. So maybe someone need to create a PDF document, right? Now you have an Acrobat license, I suppose. All of you have an Acrobat license there. It's very tempting to think that you would be using Launch Acrobat in order to create a PDF document, but this is not true, right? If you've got the Acrobat license, what you can actually do is to create a PDF document from anywhere, anytime, anywhere, with or without Acrobat installed on your computer system, right? So, you know, we want to show you a little bit of that there, right? But the idea is that with Acrobat, which we call it Document Cloud, underneath the Document Cloud, allows you to create a PDF document anytime, anywhere, either in front of your computer that has Acrobat installed, or you don't have Acrobat installed on your computer you should still be able to do it. Or you could do it on a mobile device as well. Also, people, once you've got the PDF document or someone sent you a PDF document, sometimes here what they need is to then work on the PDF document. Simple things like editing a PDF document. Maybe you just want to repurpose the PDF document for something else. You might want to do a quick edit, simple editing of a PDF document there. So this is where edit comes in, a verb, edit, right? But it's not just editing a PDF document. Sometimes when people say they need to work on or manipulate a PDF document, it might means that it might be that well, their file is too big. They need to cut it down. Maybe the IT would say that, hey, we've got these IT rules, email rules in place. You can't email to people of a file bigger than 10 megabytes, right? And what happens if you've got a PDF that's more than 10 megabytes? Then you need to work out what you could do to trim it down, right? Something that people tends to do, of course, they do a bit of optimization, compression there. And if they compression might only get you that far, right? Unless you really remove a lot of stuff there from the PDF document. What some people might do is that they might split a PDF document into, instead of one file, make it into 2 files or 3 files, and then they could email it separately in order to overcome the rule that is set by the IT in regard to the file size, right? But now the opposite can also be true. Sometimes, you could have multiple files that you might want to combine into a single PDF document as well. So again, you manipulate it. Why do I do that? Maybe as a lesson material, lesson plan, I've got all these files that I want to archive it together as a single PDF, so that, well, this is 2021. Next year, I could, at least when I come to the class, I have everything packaged as one single PDF that I could use in the lesson again. Now, editing, I said that could be simple, quick edit, but then it could also be big edit. So it's not much just changing something like a date or time or whatnot, right? You could want to really work on editing the PDF document, and sometimes easier if you convert your PDF back into Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or Excel, and that might help you, because then you launch the Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, and that might give you more editing functionalities than just doing it in Acrobat, right? So this is some of the things that people tend to do. Now, because we can edit a PDF document, then very often the next thing people may ask, what about the opposite? Can I prevent someone from editing my PDF document, right? There could be all sorts of reasons why you want to do that. Let's just say that it could be some contracts that you are a school the school might set up an employment letter or all sorts of things that you might just want to make it as this copy, and that people shouldn't be able to edit this copy afterwards, right? And this is where the opposite of edit is protect. So protecting you, I'm protecting the document so that you cannot edit this document without my explicit approval, right? Now, we are going to, indeed, a lot of you were asking about making a PDF fillable, right? So we could actually make PDF as a form, and this is a form, and then certain people can fill it in electronically. But not only can they fill it in electronically, then the next step is that, well, if I could fill it in electronically, can I also put in a signature as well? And if I want to do signature, or I request a signature from someone else, what do I do, right? And so there's, within Acrobat, we've got some signature solutions there. I would cover a little bit of those about the different varieties of signatures, so you could decide which signature solution is best for you. Now, very often we don't work on our own. We work in a team. We have collaborated with other teachers as well. And this is where share and review comes in. Sometimes you might create a PDF document that you want to kind of like share among your colleagues and maybe get some comments, feedback from the colleagues there. So there's a share and review. We could use PDF because of their annotation features. We could invite people to mark up the document, add some annotations there. I have also seen another use case where teacher where not so much as for collaboration, they send an assignment to the students via PDF. And the student, effectively, that assignment is like a form. So student will be filling in the assignment, filling in the text field, right? And the teacher will use the annotation tool to mark up the assignment and send it back to the student as well, right? So those are some of the things that are quite common, right? So have a thought about how these could be relating to your day-to-day work, right? But we are going to look into creating a form first. No, a PDF form is a PDF document. So we are going to create, except that our job number one is, first of all, create this PDF. Not only is it a PDF, but that this PDF is going to be an interactive form, right? So we start with here, and later on we'll go back and take a look at more creation and then editing functionalities as well. And of course, if we have time, we'll look into things like annotation, etc., etc. So that could be quite useful, right? So I will first close this bit. Right. Let's just, for the purpose of demonstration, I've got a Word document. I think what I might do is that because this is not a hands-on, right? Not the teacher meet, right? That events there, right? So that would be if it's hands-on, I will send you this file so that you could work with me side by side, right? But it's not a hands-on. Having said that, though, maybe I think at the end of this session, I might just email this document to Cindy, right? Because this session is recorded. So you could go back, and if you want to follow, I mean, you could just recreate what I'm doing here as well, right?
Right, Brian, are you able to drop that file into the chat? Because then people might be able to access it.
Is it the chat window? I don't know.
Yeah, give it a go.
Okay, all right, yeah. Now
it might have to be closed before you can do it. That's the only thing.
Oh, maybe it's here, right? So I could do this, and then I would, I need to do attachment. The chat doesn't have attachment there. So I don't think it would work because there's no attachment in the chat board. Unless
you can normally just drag and drop the file into the message.
All right,
could try that, otherwise we'd just move on.
Okay, all right, let's just try. Right? So, no.
It might be because you're joining as a guest.
Oh, might be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I think, guys, right? Anyway, I'll tell you what. If you want to do hands-on, if you have only got one computer screen, super difficult. Anyway, right? So, what I might do is I'll just give the file to you afterwards, and then you guys can just recreate what we are doing here. Okay, all right.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Now, this is a Word document. As you can see, it's a Word document. Let's just say, for the purpose of a demonstration, it's a reimbursement form. Right. So I have a reimbursement form that I make it so there's a date, budgetary category, who is my manager is, submitted by whoever, department email, and then I put in something like, what do I want to purchase, right? Or what have I purchased, because there's reimbursement, and then the amount, etc., etc. I might put in the name, and obviously that should go to my manager or go to the finance team, right? So depends on the procedure that is in school. But this is a fictitious one. Not going to actually get you any money back, right? But we'll use it as an example. All right. So if without using interactive form, the way people do it could be that you fill it, you print it out, print it out, etc., etc. We don't want any of those, right? So what we are going to do is to do it in Acrobat, right? Now, this is where you need to be careful that you don't do it from within Word, right? You may or may not have the Acrobat ribbon. You see, on my Microsoft Word, because I've installed Acrobat, I've got this ribbon there. This ribbon allowed me to create a PDF document that is using the Acrobat engine to create a PDF document. Now, do you know that this way of creating a PDF is different to if you go to File, Save As, and if you say Save as PDF, it's different. They both give you a PDF document, but this one, if you are going to save as PDF, you are using the Microsoft PDF engine to create a PDF. Okay, all right. If you save as Adobe PDF, then you are using the Adobe ribbon or the Adobe engine to save it as a PDF. Or you could use the Acrobat ribbon as well. The same thing is using the Adobe Acrobat engine to create a PDF. Right? Of course, it gives you lots of very nice features there. We won't I'm not going to go through the details at the moment there. Suffice it to say, this is in general a better way to create a PDF because it's using the Acrobat engine. You know, not all PDFs are created equal. PDF is the specification, and you know, there are many PDF writer out there, engine out there that doesn't really create as good a structure, right, as a PDF. But we still can't use it. We still can't use it because if we use it, all it does is to create a flat PDF. It's not a fillable PDF there. So this is why don't use it because it won't get you to where we want, right? So I'm going to exit Word or close this document there. Don't need that, right? Instead, I'm going to launch Acrobat. When I launch Acrobat, I am going to go to the File menu and go to Create. If you create PDF from File, this is exactly giving you exactly the same result as the ribbon in Microsoft Word, right? Because we're using the same engine there. So we are not going to do that. Otherwise, I'll be doing it in Word, right? From within Word. PDF from Scanner. If you've got a scanner plugged into your laptop, then you could scan from within Acrobat as well, and it does all the things like OCR, etc. So that's great, right? PDF from web page. Oh, gee, this is quite good. Turn your web page into a PDF document, etc. Right? But we'll just come down to this: create form. So this is what you need to do. Go to create PDF form, and when you create PDF form, then this is where you select the Word document, right? So I'll click single file, select Word document, and which is sitting in my C drive. This particular folder called Forms, this folder. So I've got the Word documents there. Right? So I click Open. Give it a second or two, maybe 3 or 4. Then this document should load up and display the thumbnail. Right? So you want to make sure that the thumbnail display. Don't rush. I mean, with computer, the one thing I've learned, I've used computer many years now. Right? The one thing I've learned is that don't rush your computer. Give it time to do what it needs to do. So if display the thumbnail, this is good. That means that I'm going to click Start next thing. Right? Now, but before I click Start, I want to highlight this bit. Now there's a checkbox there. This document requires signature. A shame that I can't see the checkbox, but I love you to use the checkbox there. Like this checkbox for this particular form. Remember, this is a reimbursement form. There's a signature field there. Should I turn this on? So use the checkbox to say yes or no, whether you think I should turn this on or not. This is you know, kind of this question. The reason why I ask this question is that I think if I didn't know about this one, I would expect to click the checkbox because this form have a signature field, and this document therefore requires signatures, right? And I would imagine that I click yes, right? Now I want to preface this by saying that there are different sort of signatures that we support in Adobe, right? Acrobat. We have the simple sort of signature called fill and sign, which we're going to show you a little bit there. And we've also got something called digital signature. And then there's the Adobe Sign electronic signatures there. This checkbox will be relevant. You should click on this one if you are going to turn this into an Adobe Sign document. Adobe Sign is a separate license. It's not part of the Creative Cloud or Document Cloud or Acrobat there. Some school have Adobe Sign license there. If you have the Adobe Sign license and you want to send this form later on to using Adobe Sign for requesting signature, then you will turn this on. Everybody else, without the Adobe Sign license, this should be off. This line of text there, this document requires signature, is a little bit misleading. What it actually is that this document requires Adobe Sign signatures. If this is for Adobe Sign, you turn it on. If this is not for Adobe Sign, because you don't have the Adobe Sign license, all you have is the Acrobat license, do not select this one. Okay, all right. And so this is a catcher. So you know, sometimes if you are not careful, you might got it wrong. It's not the end of the world. Later on, I might show you the differences there. But if you know it, then you don't make the mistake at the beginning. So you don't have to change, correct your mistake later on. Right? So click Start. So what this is going to do is that it's now going to convert this Word document into a PDF document. But also when this convert into PDF document, it turned it into it opened in the PDF form editing mode, so that you could ready to work on it as a electronic form. It would also convert anything that looks like form field into form field. So suddenly you see that there are text box there already. Text box, everything. Right. And miss out a field. Miss out a field, right? Look, I mean, this is a PDF document. You know that this is PDF form mode. Prepare form, so you are in the form editing mode, right? And it does the form recognitions there. I say that, you know, in general, it's pretty good, around 80% accurate, so that's pretty good, right? But it might miss a few things. As we can see in this case, there should be check boxes. It miss out. Finance manager, date, it miss out, right? So you know, it doesn't get 100% correct. Sometimes it make a form field when it shouldn't have a form field as well. So all you need to do is to, with this cursor key, you select it and you can move it around. You could hit the delete key if you want to. So you know, you could totally customize it. It just gives you a helping hand, right? Now, and indeed, you know, you see, sometimes it even try to be clever as well. Even give the form field a form field name, budget category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know why it's called budget category 1, but this form field should be manager, not budget category 2, right? So you see, as I said before, it's smart, but not 100% smart. But now I'm going to show you how you could make this form field even better, because 80% correct, I want it to be 100% correct, right? So some of the things that I want to do is that in this toolbar, there are tons of things that we could apply. For example, this is a date. Instead of a text field, so by default, it make it as a text field. By the way, how do I know it's a text field? Double click, and it says that it's a text field. And indeed, it call it, the name is budget category 1, even a tooltip. Right, so that's what that is, right? Oh, by the way, why don't we quickly change it, right? So the second form field, it should be called manager, and maybe tooltip is a manager. And you could even put some things that is mandatory as well, right? Maybe make it as a required field. I must tell who my manager is. So you could even put something like read only or required, and now it's read, meaning that this is a mandatory field. Submitted by and submitted by, etc. Right? So I'm going to delete all those, right? And I need to put in this as well, right? So you could customize these quite nice. Oh, what have I done? Yeah, my cursor must click on this edit text and image field. Let me go back to the cursor to continue. Now department. Maybe, you know what, I don't want it to be a text field. I want it to be a drop down because the school have only just a few departments there. Why don't I use the toolbar here and add a drop down? So I'm going to make it as a drop down and double click, and this is called department. Department, right? So. And because it's a drop down, I could now give the department name, right? So I might just say that is maybe human resource, HR. So and then the other department could be, I don't know, admin, right? And then maybe IT, and then maybe I don't know what else, maybe faculty of just general staff, right? General staff, etc., etc. As you can see, you could just add some of those, right? Now, you see, quite interesting is that by default, it's going to show you the default. When someone show this page, what is the default department, right? So if you don't want to show any default at this drop-down properties, make sure that you click outside, so that none of the options are selected, right? And then you click OK. And so that will end up with a drop-down, and someone you have to click on it and select the departments there. Now, the top one is a date. I would like to put in a date object as well. So there's a date field, and I'm just going to select the date. Double click. This is a date field. The date field gives you a few more options as well, such as formatting. I always love to do the proper format, right? So maybe like DD, month, year. And what it does is that when someone select from a date object, they will format in certain date. Now, this is not the only way that it shows. You could even select the time as well. So if you want to, you could also display the time as well, right? So if you want to. Now, there is also custom. Custom is where you just type, maybe I want to be DD, MM, Y. So that is basically kind of like the Australian way of saying it, right? And if you want to have the time again, it could be HH.MM, you know, kind of like this, right? So, you know, you've got all these ways. You could use any of those pre-built formatting, or you could just make up your own format as well, just like that. Okay, all right. Now, just give it a try, right? So see, there's the preview. I could see what it looks like. So I go to preview mode. And now you see that this is red, right? So this is a date. What happened if you click inside? Then you get the drop down. And I could pick the date, maybe to date. And so it shows you the date formatting, right? Budget category, whatever that is. Manager, whoever that is. Submitted by whoever. Department. Click on this, and then you select which one. Okay, all right. Now, we are not going to go through all those things, but hopefully that gives you an idea. Let me go back to edit. And what you'll find very often is that you test it, and then you want to clear out all the form field. You go to the right-hand side. This is where you could see a lot of the things that you could do with these documents there. Under More, there's a little triangle there. Arrow button. You click on that, and the one thing that you could do is clear form. So underneath is clear form. So it clear everything, so that you could just go back to continue to work on it. Right? Okay, all right. Now I am going to do some other things as well. I think this is quite interesting. Amount. amount, and then total, right? Maybe this is where you want to do calculation, right? So this amount, double click, right? You might want to say format it so that it is a number, because you want to put in the amount there, and then maybe 2 decimal places and etc. etc. I think I'll do it, right? So, and oh, you know, something that I'd like to do is that I'd like to go to appearance, or is it appearance, or where is the options? Is it options? Where is it? I want to align it to the right. There is some way I could. I don't remember where to align to right. Appearance, no. Okay, all right. Let's just forget it for now, right? So format it as number at least. But I hope I'll just remember how do I align the text to the right. There should be a way to do it, right? But I might just quickly format all these numbers there, so that because they are number field. So I'll double click and go to format, select numbers, right? Double click, right, select numbers there. Now, I want to do a little calculation. Total should be calculated based on these numbers, right? So I'll double click, and what happened is that, well, you could still do format as number, but there's something like calculation. So with calculation, Acrobat gives you some basic calculation functionalities. For example, it could be the value is equal to the sum, the addition of all the form fields is amount A1 to A4. So I simply go and click pick, and it let me pick the form field. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I select all these form field A1 to A4. Click OK. So that literally is a summation of all those, right? And then is come up here. This form field needs to be is bugging me. It should be on the right-hand side. How do I align it to the right-hand side? I'll try to think about how to do it later on, right? But I'm going to do it quickly.
Brian, if you go to options, it's got alignment up the top.
Oh, let me go back. Right, so options.
No, back in the field. Yep.
Yeah, here.
Yep, in that menu, the property menu in options.
Options.
Alignment up the top.
Thank.
No,
yeah, thank you so much. Right, so this is I was looking at appearance, right? I just forgot where that is, but thank you, right? So this is where it should be. Oh, thanks a lot. I owe you one.
No worries.
And same thing, of course. I mean, we could do exactly the same thing here for A1 to A4, right? But let me just go and do a preview, make sure that it is adding properly, right? So if I add 12, so because I type in 12, right? So that should give me 2 decimal places there. I type in 3.5, hit tab. So it's working pretty well. So that is good. Go back to edit. Remember, how do we clear it? Go to the more. Go to select the drop down, clear the form. Now, by the way, you notice that if I click more, at the top here is convert to Adobe Sign form. Remember, I was saying the checkbox right at the beginning. If you have clicked that checkbox, this is already an Adobe Sign form, and the options at the top are different. The form field that the functions, the form field of Adobe Sign form are different to what we are doing with the Acrobat form. So let's just say that you change your mind. This is someone tell you that, hey, guess what? We actually got Adobe Sign license there, right? You say, oh, is that right? So what do I do? Then you go to convert this into Adobe Sign form field. If you click convert, then it tells you that some of the things might change. So but it will give you new functionalities, might take away some, but it also give you some, right? So this is why it was not a disaster if you click the checkbox before or do not click the checkbox before, because anytime you could go and convert this into Adobe Sign form. If it's Adobe Sign form, you could also convert back into Acrobat form as well. But just remember that because of some of the functionalities are different, you might have to rework some of the form fields there. Right. Okay, all right. Fine.
Brian, just a quick question from the chat. Heather's asked, can you click multiple fields together and change something all at once?
Yeah, some of it, yes, you can. I think this one we can if I, in terms of formatting, right? So I go to right-click properties. This one, I think I could go to do right. Right. So if you now, sometimes if this happened, right? What happened, right? Can I go back to edit mode, right? You make sure that your cursor is go back to this cursor, click the cursor then. And now if I double click each of those, it should be right, right? So double click, that should be right as well, right? So not everything, but these sort of formatting, we should be able to say multi-select. So you select this, use the shift key to select multiple font field, right click to go to the properties. Okay, now this is a signature. So what it does do is that it plays a digital signature field. We could leave it there for now because you know what? Some people do have digital signature on their computer. So let's just leave it there, right? Now, this is approved. Should that be a radio button or should that be a checkbox? Difference of radio button versus checkbox is that checkbox you could check and uncheck. But if I put two checkboxes there, people shouldn't be that silly, but if they do, they can actually check, approve and reject it. Right? So I think it's better if we do a radio button. Right? So I'm going to put a radio button, and we say that call this name, call it whatever name you like. But this is we'll change some of those later on, but add one more because I want to have two radio buttons there. And now they are both the same group, right? By default, it looks like this, right? So, that one. But I don't want it. I want it to be square boxes there, right? So the design might be more like square boxes there. This is fine. Double click. And put the basically, because we've already got the word have a box there, right? So I might just get rid of the border, get rid of the field. So appearance, delete the border and field. I might just go to options, and instead of circle, I'll just put maybe a check is a tick, a cross is a cross, right? So maybe I just put a cross there, right? So, oh, by the way, if someone click on this check radio button, the choice is choice 1, right? So, or you could say approved. To be honest, I always think it is a good idea to label every form field properly, right? And double click the same one, right? So this one I want it to be crossed as well, and this we want it to be rejected. And
Brian, if you want one of them defaulted, you can do that in that same box. I noticed there was an option for making it the default.
Yeah, yes, there's under options, I think, yeah. So make it as a default, yes. So this one. So thank you. Yeah, so that is how you could set some default. Right. Just going to leave it for now and just go and preview. And then suddenly, right, and we see something like this. Actually, I think I should use the border because it looks better than the box underneath. So why don't I just double click? I think I may just use it. Maybe having a border and field is white looks actually better than better. And see, yes, I think this looks better. Right. So maybe I should just leave the field there, right? I am not changing the other one. Leave it as an exercise for you, right? Now that we are not going to do the rest there, you've got an idea what that is. So I think by now it's all good, right? What we want to do now is to cover. Now, first of all, this is better save it, right? So we haven't saved it yet. So save it as a PDF document, and I'm just going to save it to desktop for the sake of demonstrations here, and call it whatever name I want it, right? So I hope by now you know what is a PDF document. How do you create a form set? Let me close it for now. if at any point in time you want to go back and change it, and you go to prepare form, and that will take you back to this edit mode, and you could drag and drop the form field. Now, if you say, I want to change the text, not adding a form field, you go to the edit text and image, and suddenly you can change the text here. Okay, right. So this is the difference. This is edit the text of the document. This cursor is edit the form field of the document. So just make sure you understand the two. Okay, all right. Now let's go to then how do we send it out, because there is a question about how do we send it out for appeal for signature, right? You could actually do it just like this, right? So you don't actually have to do anything different. Let's just say you just email this document, right? So you just email this PDF document to whoever, or make this doc. Anyway, whoever got access to this document, they could open it in Adobe Reader. They don't even need Acrobat license. They could do it in Adobe Reader. I don't have Adobe Reader on my machine. I've only got Acrobat, but it's exactly the same thing. When they opened it, they would open in this view, and they will be able to fill in the information. They don't, because it's Adobe Reader, so they won't have prepared form, but they will be able to fill in the form, right? So I would be able to fill in the form, etc., right? So I could do all sorts of things which we've done before, right? Now, and I say I need to purchase these objects, right? Maybe a computer, right? And etc., right? Now, when it comes to signature, this is what would happen, right? If you've got a digital signature, you click here, and then you would find your digital signature. Now today, I don't think I'll go to the details of how to create a digital signature, because this is a totally separate topics there, quite deep, as a deep topics there. It's good to have, but because most people don't have a digital signature, so it suddenly is kind of like that presents some sort of problem, because then I have to, if I'm at school, I want to have some, let's just say this form is for parent to sign, right? I'm not going to go through the trouble of teaching the parents how to create digital signature, right? So yeah, digital signature to me is great. Unfortunately, not many people know how to use it, right? So, but they do have Adobe Sign. They do have Adobe Reader, right? So what would happen, right? They have something like fill and sign. They may have something called fill and sign. With fill and sign is quite interesting, because what it means is that while not as good as digital signature, but it does something quite fun, quite simple as well. Of course, you can still type in, right? Under the fill and sign, you can still type in these sort of things, and then you could kind of like click approve or reject. That sort of thing still there, right? You can still enter the maybe $25, etc. So everything's good, but apart from this one, fill and sign give you the options to kind of like add a simple graphic signature. So I could click sign. Right? Now I've already got one there, but let me just delete it. Right? So if you have never added before, so the first time will be add a signature. So so imagine I'm a parent, right? So all I have got is Adobe Reader, and as long as you tell the parent that go to Reader, select fill and sign, this is what they could do. They could fill in the information, and at the top there's something like sign, right? And when they sign, when you say create signature, so this is where they could kind of like type in the name. So I type in my name. Maybe my name is Peter, right? So Peter Pan. Right? So that's my name, right? And then, or I could even draw. So I could use the mouse to say Peter, right? So well, is seriously, you don't want to use a mouse to draw. Or you can upload, some people, they have some sort of a nice image that they want to use. I think I've got one. I've got where's my signature? Where's my signature here? And anyway, don't use that, right? So I have to download it. Don't want that. But you can upload an image, right? But anyway, I think I may just type. Right. So this is my signature, and just click apply. And so I've got this signature. Let me just drop it right here. So that's it, right? And etc. 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 Right. Now, this is very important, right? So if they have Adobe Reader or they have Adobe Acrobat, this is what they could do. Now, just don't click request signature. Request signature would rely on someone with Adobe Sign license. So again, today we assume that you guys don't have Adobe Sign license. So we would just sign this document ourselves, click next. And this is where you actually got options there. You don't have to click next. You could just save it, right? Save it and then be done with it. So you could just save this document there. Although, if you want to, you can also go back to fill and sign. There's a big difference there, right? If you click next, then it's going to save it as a read-only file. What does that mean, right? So there's a big difference there. Why don't I do both, right? So this I've saved it once, right? So that we could compare. And this time I save it and click next, not saving, click next. It's going to create as a read-only file. And what it's going to do is that it would now do some magic protecting this document by encrypting, by making it as a read-only file. Okay, all right. So I've got this document here, right? And this document, if imagine that someone click next, save it as read only, and then they email it back to the school, right? The school opened this document and says that it is, you see there's a blue ribbon bar saying that this is certified encrypted there, right? Which is good, I could see that, etc., etc. Now, because it's read only, can I do things like fill and sign or edit or anything like that? No, there is no more of those functions. Even if I try to tools, right? You see, all of those are grayed out. You can't make any changes there. So this next is great. If this document is going to be locked down, you don't want to let anybody else to make changes. That's when you do next and save it as a read-only document. Is that okay? Versus the one that we didn't save, right? So let's just don't save it, right? So versus the one that we did just now, yeah, it's still editable, right? So I can still go to you see, I can still edit if I want to, right? So, well, you know, because I can edit, I could change anything I like, right? So this is not, because it's not locked down. So, you know, I can still go and make some changes to these documents there. And this signature, I could even delete it if I want to, right? So the difference is one is read only, the other is unlocked. So, you know, you could still make some change. Is that all right? So I hope we explain how to create a fillable form, how to make use of the fill and sign to let your parents or whoever using Adobe Reader to fill and sign the form without them having to have Adobe Sign or digital signature license certificate to sign the document. Yeah. Okay, all right. So I hope that would do it right now. Let me use the remaining time to just quickly talk about creating and edit a PDF document as well, right? Because very often we still need to create a PDF document. Now, let's just go and have a look at we are going to properly create a PDF document. And here I've got a Word document. So this is you know what? I feel that if you want to create a proper document, you want to do it right at the beginning, from the get-go, because then everything just works so much better. What do I mean by do it right at the beginning? Now, even though this is a Word document, I think I did the great things. I've got a proper table of content, and I've got the proper styling as well. Let me just open this style. There is a way I could dock it. Anyway, so at least I could show you. This is heading 1. So you see that I've styled it properly with heading 1. And this is the styling is just a normal paragraph, right? And then so this is what is it again? Heading 1. Right. And this is what is this? Heading 2. So you see, but this is what I meant by properly formatted documents. There, it's got all the things that I want to do. Indeed, I think, you know, to make it nice, I think this graphic, there's even I think I've put in something like an alternate text as well. Have I got alternate text? No, I haven't got alternate text, right? Which we should, right? So Tower of London Bridge, National Museum Iceland. So I did a lot of good things with these documents there, right? It's always good to do it right? And I think from memory, if I look into the file info, I have the title and, you know, the author, etc., etc. So, you know, this is as far as I can tell, is a pretty good Word documents there. I want to do the proper documents there, and the good thing is that if I then create a PDF document, because I could do it from within Acrobat or from within Word, right? Is there the ribbon is installed whenever we install Acrobat, we install the ribbon in Word as well. So I could do it right here. And before I click create, I go to preferences just to show that there are lots of things that we could tell how this document is going to be created, right? Suffice it to say is that all the default settings are pretty good. So in general, we don't have to do anything. I just want to draw your attention to that. We have a lot of the things to govern how this was created, right? So in general, you don't need to mess up with any of these settings. These are all good settings there. What I'm going to do is simply go and create a PDF document. So I'll save it to desktop so that I don't, I could use the file later on myself. And I'll just do, maybe afterwards, I'll email this document to you as well. So that, of course, I mean, you guys will have your own Word documents, but at least you could look at, compare notes to see the sort of things that I've done with these documents there. So is creating PDF documents, updating tags, right? So yeah. We don't know what that is, right? But it's all good. All good things is there. So it's going to create a PDF document, and so it's displayed right here. So everything is good. You see, the one I really like is that the table of content in Word is supported here. So it goes to a table of content, etc., etc. Let me just zoom out a little bit as well. Right. And then the tooltip, right, that was in the Word document is displayed here as well. So move the mouse over. That's what I like, right? Now, if you don't have that, of course, it's no big deal, right? You can always go to Edit. So if there's anything, you could always go to Edit, select this graphic, and then you could go to the properties and add the. I think is it somewhere where go to add the alternate text. I forgot how to do it here, but so something like alternate text. Is it where is the properties where I could add alternate text? Create link. Well, it will be somewhere there. Where is it? Not edit image, edit link, edit text, edit. Alternate text. Where is the alternate text? something here. Is it somewhere? Ah, couldn't find it. Right. So again, another mental blank. But I'm going to tell you how to add the alternate text when I do the next step, right? I thought I could just do it here, but just don't remember how to do it now. But a couple of things that is quite interesting is that, yeah, multi-pages document, bookmark. We generate the bookmark, right? This bookmark, how was it generated? Because the Word document has been styled properly. There's a structure of this document there. Heading 1, heading 2, those are what driven this. Right? Indeed, I was telling you that you don't have to worry about the preference settings there. If I go back to the settings, right? So you see, we actually read the bookmark, and that we create the bookmark based on your styling. So heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, right? So this is why all the preference settings there are there for a reason, right? And that makes your job much better, right? And indeed, if I go back to the file properties, you should see that, well, we've got proper title, we've got the proper author. This document, right? So you see something like tag PDF, right? What exactly does that mean? All I would say is that you want your document tagged for accessibility. If you see a PDF document and look at the file properties and the tag PDF is no, you know that this document isn't done right, right? So we got it right, right? And etc. Right? I'm going to skip it for now, right? Something that for education purpose, very often we want to make sure that everything is done right, properly accessible. The best way to test about accessibility is this one, right? So there is this toolbar, so one of the tools there that is in Acrobat Pro. So in Acrobat Pro, there's something called actions. If you click actions, there is make accessible. If I want to turn this document into accessible document, right, you want to, and indeed, how do I know whether this document is accessible or not, right? Well, what I tend to do is that I'll use the action, make accessible, and what it does is that it will go through this document, see if there's anything missing. If there's anything missing, not done right, it will give you the chance to get it right, right? So at the moment you're going to look into this document, leisure travel, and it's going to tell you what it's going to do. So there are all these steps that it's going to do as well, right? One of it is setting alternate text of the images there, right? So I could go and click start. And so it will first of all check whether there's proper title, whether there's a subject. Indeed, I think it's good to have a subject as well. So you might want to basically put, I don't know, leisure, travel, etc. So it's good to have subject, right? And even keywords. Sometimes you want to make it easier for someone to search your document there. So you might want to put in some keywords, etc. I think that is quite nice, right? Next, then it's going to check the reading, recognize text. This document, are there scanned in image, right? So, and it's going to check whether there's anything. And it's good if there's images with text, it will do the OCR for you so that it turns it into something that is text searchable, or that would be exposed to screen reader. It also asks you if this PDF form, if it's PDF form, it would also check whether the form has got proper form label as well, right? This is not a PDF form, so we could skip this step. And the language, the screen reader is going to read what sort of language is it? This is an English document, so I say English. And then it's now going to check about whether there are alternate text for images as well. And so there's something like, well, this is a background image. You could make it as a decorative, because this is not really, or it could be a banner, right? So maybe it could be a banner text, right? Now, you see there's only one image there that missed the banner tag, right? The reason is because all the other 4 images, there are already some alternate text there. If there wasn't, then as it was skip through from image 1 to image 2 to image 3, this is where you could add the alternate text into the image as well, right? So I'm just going to read. Once it's done, everything it needs to do is going to generate a report, right? And so I'm going to do start checking. And it generates a report just like this, right? So it kind of like show you quickly what may be there or what might be missing, right? So there's something that it tells you that, well, we pass a lot of the text there, the image only PDF, etc., is tagged. Basic tag is meaning that all the document has the proper structure. That is you have the heading 1, you've got paragraph, or you've got table of content, etc., right? So you've got list item. It's very important for the screen reader to make sense of what that is, right? So this is why it's so important there, right? And then, but there are things that it doesn't really quite know. Logical reading order. Our test for accessibility will only make sure that it is okay. But in terms of reading order, now this document should be no drama, because it is pretty much top to bottom. So there's no drama with reading order. But imagine if it's a multi-column documents there, you might want to manually check the reading order so that it's reading properly. There's this reading order. Reading order basically is telling you that the screen reader will read this first, followed by this one, right? And then followed by this one, followed by this one, followed by this one. So it's okay, right? But in case, for whatever reason, you want to read car rental first before you read this one, then of course, what you can do is change the order, right? So you could move it around so that suddenly it's read this one before you read that one, and then read the other one, right? So yeah, reading order is something that you might want to manually check it. We can't check it for you, etc., right? So as you can see, there are other things that we can't check it for you as well. The color contrast, sometimes you are color blind. So have you got enough contrast, right? So I've got the light blue on a white text, right? So this is something that you might want to check because Adobe, the accessibility doesn't really check this one for you. Okay, all right. So I guess this kind of like shows you how you could create a proper PDF document. As I said before, ideally, you want to do as good a job as you can right at the beginning, because then it saves you the tons of time from getting to do it in Acrobat, right? I'll just use an example. Let's just say if the PDF wasn't created properly and there wasn't bookmarks there, is it the end of the world? For a 3 pages document, not a big deal. For long documents, then it's no good. And what does that mean? That means that then you have to go and create bookmarks, right? And you know what? For accessibility, you want to have a bookmark, right? And that means that you have to go to the bookmarks panel, and then you create a new set of bookmarks. Let's just say there isn't bookmarks there. Then you have to create a bookmark, maybe from structure, maybe based on heading 1, based on heading 1, and based on heading 2, etc., right? So you might have to do these sort of things, and you generate a bookmark for you. And suddenly, it kind of like create a little bookmarks, like maybe based on heading 1. I mean, look, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but if you can get it right, why do it afterwards, right? So get it right, do it once, right? So now, once you've got the PDF documents there, of course, anytime if you want to edit, right? So this is pretty straightforward there. If you want to manipulate it, right? So this is a 4 pages document. If you want to edit, you could go to edit, and you could make some edit there. We do a pretty good job about editing. Let's just say you want to add a new line. You see, it's a proper paragraph. So you could actually add new paragraphs as well. All the other texts are pushed down, right? So it's pretty good, right? But if you add more, then it kind of like overlap. this is why edit is great for simple editing. If you say, hey, gee, this is too much, right? I need to, if I add this, I need to push the table down as well, etc., etc., etc. Then my suggestion is that while edits are great for simple editing, and indeed, let's go to point 2 as well. It's actually quite good. Delta American, this is a list, right? So hit again, you see, it's a proper list. So it's quite decent, right? But if you really think that I need to do lots of big editings there, then what I would suggest is that you go back to the source. If you still have the source file, if you don't have the source file, then you go to export. You go to export this into Word, right? When you export into Word document, it will actually generate a pretty decent document as well. The one thing I would suggest is that don't edit some of those and then export. It's going to mess it up, right? So if you go to export, just export right at the beginning. Don't edit in Acrobat and then export it, right? You want to just export it, right? And you export it to the desktop, etc., etc. And so that is my suggestion, right, about your editing versus exporting, right? Now, while it is exporting, right, so the other thing that people sometimes need to do is, remember I was saying that sometimes the files are too big, right? The files are too big because too many pages, right? And okay, all right, so this is the exported document, right? So it's still pretty good, right? The table of contents is still there, right? And that it goes back, right? So this is where if you really want to do lots of editing, this is where you want to do. Oh well, it maybe mess up a little bit there. I think what happened is because I've made some. I was hitting the edit key, as I said before. Don't do it. Maybe this is why it's now making the editing is not quite right, but the bullet is still good. I haven't messed up the number list, not the bullet list there, right? And again, this one, right? So I think I make some changes before, right? So you see now is at least, right? It pushed down to the proper paragraph as well, right? So something that is very important, right? Now going back here, right? If the file is too big and you want to make it smaller, right? Then you need to split it up. You need to split it up, right? So, this is the tips that I always do. If I don't know where the tools are, if I don't know how to split the documents there, don't know where the tools are, I just search. I just always think in terms of the task that I want to use. I think about the English word that I want to do with the document, right? This document, what I really want to do is to split it out so it becomes smaller file. I'll just go to the search and type split. And guess what? It shows me split, right? If I don't know, let's just say I don't know this tip, right? I will go to tools, and then the thing is that I need to work out which tool actually let me split the documents there. Just how to guess, right? Which one actually let me split the file? Create component. Hard to tell. Actually, hard to tell. I don't know which tool let me split the documents there, right? Well, this is why I found that much easier all the time. I just think about Acrobat, think about PDF, think about Verb, right? What I want is to split this document into multiple documents there. I just type split, and it lets me do the splitting. And then suddenly I could split by number of pages, split by file size. This is what I would do because my IT said that don't email everything that is more than 5 megabytes. Split size by 5 or 4. Right. And that what it does is that you create as multiple files for me, and then I could kind of like put it as email it out one by one to the recipients there. All right, I think that will do for me. So we cover the PDF, turn it into a PDF fillable form. So we make the form quite friendly. We also should talk about, once you've got the form, how you could send it out. how people could fill in the form by using fill and sign. So you might want to tell the recipient that open it in Adobe Reader, use the fill and sign. So again, in Reader, there you have the fill and sign. Use the fill and sign to do it, right? And then they will do it, right? And then we talk about create a PDF document. How best to create a PDF document? Always want to do do it right at the beginning. Save your times. Otherwise, you just have to correct it in Acrobat, right? And we talk about how to make the PDF really good as an accessible document as well. But of course, if you edit, you could do simple editing, or you can export the PDF documents there. And if you found that you need to export all the time for some reason, right, might as well put the export into the toolbar. I'll show you what to do, right? You go to Tools, the Export, click Add, and that will be bring to the, maybe this is, we do all the time, just go to Export, right? So that means that you always have access to these export functions there. Okay, all right. I think I'll stop the screen sharing now, and then we could open it for Q&A. All right, guys. How do you what do you think? Today's session, have you? Because I asked you right at the beginning, there are things that what do you want to learn? Are there things that you have that you want to learn and I haven't covered it? Let me know in the chat pod. You can also unmute your microphone if you want to and ask me questions.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, sure. Yes.
I needed recently to get multiple people to sign a document. What would you recommend the best way is to do that, please?
Well, if you want to have, now my document indeed is actually 2, right? So I need to sign it, and then whoever need to also sign it as well, right? You could just create a form, right? And if someone are using fill and sign, right, just put their signature there. What you need to do is to make sure that they don't save it as a read-only file. If they save it as a read-only file, the first person can sign, but then once they sign it, the second person no longer can sign it. So you want to give the people instruction, right? Look, guys, you could use Adobe Reader, do fill and sign, and then save it. Just don't click next. Don't make it as a read-only file, because if you lock it down, then the next person wouldn't be able to countersign the documents there. So that is if you are using fill and sign. Okay, all right. Now, if you don't use fill and sign, today I didn't really go into the other 2 options there. One is the digital signature. One is the Adobe Sign, right? Now, digital signature, if someone are using digital signature, they can sign it and then they can pass this document to someone else. Someone else can also use digital signature to continue to sign it. They don't need to, all they need is to have a clear understanding that, hey, don't use fill and sign to lock it down. You either sign it, don't lock it, or you use a digital signature. And if you sign it, you can pass it on to email it to the next person. The next person will be able to continue to fill and sign or do digital signature as well. Okay, all right. Otherwise, the third option is Adobe Sign, which is a totally separate license. Adobe Sign gives you a lot more control than what we are showing you today, right? But with Adobe Sign, you have the full control about how the document is going to flow from the first participant to the second participant to the third participant. So everything is controlled in Adobe Sign workflow. Right? But that is separate license, separate demonstration if we need to, right? Today we are really focused only on just doing it in Acrobat.
Thank you. That's really helpful and explained why my document got past the first person and then didn't get any further. The others obviously didn't have Adobe Sign, so thank you.
Correct, right? So not that they can't do, it's just that if without Adobe Sign, you want to be very clear about the instruction. I would imagine if this document is going to say, look, you and I, right, at least we are in this session, right, and we have know a little bit of Acrobat. Imagine that you are passing a document to someone who have no idea about your digital signature, fill and sign, everything like this, right? You are putting burden for those people to understand how it works. This is why I thought that, well, you know, I wish it could be everyone knows it, but the reality is not, right? And so this is why if you really have a use case where you have multiple parties need to sign, you either give a very step-by-step instruction to someone to walk them through, or if you use Adobe Sign, then it's kind of like a no-brainer because everything is kind of like automated by the process. So, okay. So, any other questions?
Can I just ask quite a simple question? I think in the drop-down box, if you want the options to be ordered, like say alphabetically or whatever, can you do that, or is it just the order that you enter them in?
Oh, I should. When I was quickly entering the items there, when I just enter it, I randomly enter in not in particular order. The fact is that before you click OK, or you could double click, go back to the properties and options again, you could still move things up and down. So you change it to whatever order you like. We don't have something like automatically sort by alphabetical order, but you could kind of like drag the item or move the item up and down to whatever sequence that you like.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Okay, is that all? Right. So now I will have to remember what I'll do is that I will email you. I'll email you the original Word document of that form, right? And then I'll email you a completed version of the PDF form. So you will have a Word document. You can watch this recording, follow it step by step. But then you can also compare the one that I've done, right? And I'll also email you the Word document for accessible, and I'll create one that I have one that is a PDF that has been converted from the Word document that is more accessible as well. So again, you can compare notes, right? I'm not a Microsoft Word expert there, but what I'm saying is really just that there are things that could make the document a little bit better. So these are some of the things that hopefully can help in our day-to-day work and when we send the document to other people. Okay, all right. So I think that is close to the half an hour, right? So the 5:30 or 5 o'clock your time. I think that would do. And
thanks, Brian. I think lots of people got lots out of this session. So thank you very much for once again showing us some of the tricks and tips on how to use Adobe Acrobat.
No problem. Yeah, always a pleasure. Look, I mean, Tim Kitchen and I and Steve Nichols, we are there to help you guys, right? So hopefully we'll continue to meet up, next year as well. Teach me or many of these sessions there. I hope we'll see you again.
Thanks, Brian. Bye.
Okay. Bye.